Welcome back to the Tracy Take. I am Tyler here with my brother Ryan, and today we are doing the Houston Texans 3-round mock draft. We did a full 3-round mock draft for all 32 teams, and these will be the Texan selections. But before we do that, we have a fun announcement as well. We have partnered with BetUS for all of our viewers here. If you put a couple bucks on the game that you're watching here, click the link down below. They're doing a 125% match for all first-time players with their first 3 deposits. So if you like watching the Masters and put a couple bucks on some players, or come football season, if you want to bet on some player lines or bet on some of the games, hit the link down below and get a 125% match for all first-time players. While you're at it, be sure to like, subscribe, and also ring the bell to get notified whenever we create new videos here on YouTube. So with that being said, Ryan, let's pull this up here. So we wanted to start off a little bit with what the Texans have done so far in the offseason. To be honest, if we wanted to include all of the additions or re-signings that the Texans have done, we would have needed 2 pages. So these are the most notable ones that we can see. And holy cow. I mean, just probably the best offseason so far, I would say, amongst any of the teams. Adding to Nico Autry, Daniil Hunter, Azeez Al-Shaair, re-signing Desmond King, got Jeff Okudah from Atlanta. You can have him. I think that this has just been an amazing offseason so far. We might even be missing a couple people as well. They did move on from a couple of people like Malik Collins and Sheldon Rankins as well on the defensive interior. They did lose Blake Cashman and Jonathan Grenard. But I think that not only did they replace those guys well, I think they improved actually on each of those positions as well. I would take Nico Autry, Daniil Hunter, and Azeez Al-Shaair over those other guys as well. Nothing against them. They're great players. So,
the only one that I think that they might miss is going to be Jonathan Grenard. To me, that's their biggest loss. He was their sack leader last year. They do have Will Anderson to kind of replace him.
Yeah.
And then I think you look at what D'Amico Ryans was successful doing in San Francisco. Daniil Hunter, I think, fits that scheme well because he is that true 4-3 defensive end. You can have Will Anderson kind of playing the weak side of that defensive line. And then that's where having Christian Harris, that linebacker who had a really good season for them last year, can kind of play free and play behind this line, shoot gaps, drop off into coverage. You have Azeez Al-Shaair as well, who can do very similar things to that. And that's where I think you can really start to see the picture of this defense kind of taking shape. And frankly, I really expect them to be one of the top defenses in the league next year. And another thing, they did lose Jonathan Grenard, and that's going to hurt off the edge. But getting Danico Autry from Tennessee Titans, not only is that a monstrous thing for your defense, but that also hurts the Tennessee Titans defense a lot. And I really like what he brings to the table because he has inside-outside versatility. It would be an undersized defensive tackle, but still, I like what he brings to the table. And the fact you could steal him away from a division rival is huge.
Oh, yeah. I'll push back a little bit on the Jonathan Grenard one. I think Daniil Hunter, so he is a little bit older, but you just go look at his history, though. It's 16.5 sacks, 10.5 sacks, 6 sacks in only 7 games of 2021, 14.5, 14.5. And if you go look at Jonathan Grenard, he did only play 8 games in 2022, 12 in 2021. And of those 20 games, he only had 9.5 sacks. He did have a great season last year. Don't get me wrong. 12.5 sacks was a great season. Can he repeat that, though? I'm not sure. Daniil Hunter, year in and year out, when healthy, has put up double-digit sack numbers. And you put him across from Will Anderson, I think that's going to be really tough. I think that's already an improvement overall. I know it's going to be a one-hit wonder, because Daniil Hunter's age, Father Time, unfortunately, is getting there sooner than Jonathan Grenard.
Yeah.
But if they're trying to win the Super Bowl now, and I think that they've built up a defense that I think can go and do it. So even as well, you add the secondary room to already Derek Stingley Jr., and then I'm blanking on their other guy. I apologize.
I can't remember either.
Sorry. Texas fans, roast us in the comments and also let us know who the other guy is. But this defense is, I think, top 5 already. You go look at what Danico Autry was doing in Tennessee, then you pair him up with all these guys.
The only reason why I say that that they could regret that one is because you have a guy in your system that's producing at an all-pro level, or not all-pro, Pro Bowl level, and you let him move on and you try to replace him with a guy who may be slightly older, has a little bit of an injury history. There's just risk there, right? And so that's the only reason why I say that. And also, I do think they're 2 different types of edge rushers. Like Daniil Hunter is much more hand in the dirt type of guy, whereas Jonathan Grenard is more of an outside linebacker edge rusher type. So again, it's just kind of scheme specific on what they want to do. And I do think, again, looking at DeMeco Ryans at San Francisco and what he was able to do successfully there, I like the fit of Danielle Hunter and have that hand to the dirt edge rusher. So let's quickly move into their picks. I believe they only have 2 picks.
No, they have 3
picks,
3, but
they have 2 second
made,
rounders.
Yeah, they made a great move. I feel is they've already made all these additions, and so they traded back with the Vikings, who I think are desperate to try and get a quarterback here in the first round. Yeah. And so they were able to then make this trade back, go into the second round, and honestly, the difference between 23 and 42 player-wise, as we've talked about if you watch our channel, is not really that much. I mean, guys at 42 could be on. Maybe Ricky Pearsall won't go 23, but there's not too big a difference between him and then like if they're going to take A.D. Mitchell, so to say, at 23.
Well, not for this offense specifically. The difference in players, because A.D. Mitchell and Nico Collins are pretty similar. So
fair. But then they pick up a second round next year as well. And so here we have them go with Ricky Pearsall. Kind of as we mentioned, well, Nico Collins is their stud outside guy. Tank Dell's going to be coming back and kind of they're kind of the do-it-all slot receiver type guy. And I feel like Ricky Pearsall is going to be a good complement to both of those guys in between. And we felt like going offensive here just because of all of the moves that they made defensively that and they technically really haven't made too much over on the offense side of the ball. And I think they're going to be best player available. I think you have him fall here. I think he's going to provide more value than a TJ Tampa potentially or an Indian Straw who were taken on the next 2 picks overall. So
I really like Ricky Pearsall as a prospect. He's a natural separator. He's not going to blow you away with his athleticism, but I think that shows you on tape when he does get separation against some of the top end corners in college football that he is nuanced in his route running and in his footwork, and also has probably one of the best, if not the best, hands in this class. And so he's just a really solid athlete. I really like what he brings to the table. He was really good at the Senior Bowl. Him, Roman Wilson, Ladd McConkey, I think really separated themselves from the rest of this wide receiver group. So I really like this pick. I think he fits in super well in that offense. You go get a versatile wide receiver for CJ Stroud to throw to, and I think that's a fantastic pick, especially if he's your 3rd or 4th wide receiver with Noah Brown in the mix as well. This is a really good group. You have Dalton Schultz at the tight end position. So you would probably be really solid at that position for a long time. And let's move on to their second round pick. And this is where we have Chris Jenkins, the defensive tackle from Michigan, coming off the board. Going to be a little bit more of a run stuffer, but a really athletic defensive tackle that's going to come in and definitely give them, at the very least, a solid rotational player from day one.
Yeah. I'm not like I love Chris Jenkins, and I think to your point to help out their run stuffing, especially going up against the Colts and the Titans as well. I think they could go probably anywhere with this pick. Like with a lot of these picks here, there's not too many holes on this Texans team, especially they already addressed the receiver position as well. They've made a lot of free agency additions, maybe try and get some young guys that they can go and develop. If a guy like Gabriel Murphy, who might maybe relate a little bit more to Danielle Hunter and like kind of groom him while Danielle Hunter is there, like to be that more like down lineman, so to say. If I'm remembering Gabriel Murphy correctly. And so, but I think they'll let us know in the comments. Or if they want to address the offensive line here, and they did move on from George Font again as well. So if they want to go right tackle potentially as well with one of these picks and replace him there, I think there's a lot of different ways that they could end up going here and just going with just that best player available mentality.
Yeah, I agree here. Let's move on to their last pick in this mock draft. That's going to be Max Melton, the cornerback. So they did add Jeff Okudah. They do have Derek Stingley there. But Max Melton is a really talented guy, and I think you look at what the 49ers have done with their cornerbacks. They've taken a lot of guys in that 3rd and 4th round and developed them and let them kind of improve. And I think Max Melton would be perfect in that type of setting, right? You have your number 1 corner. He can come in and play nickel at first, and then as he gets better, he can grow and be that true number 2 corner. And even honestly, mirror receivers. He's a great athlete. He has good technique. I think he just needs that big bump in competition. So I really like the fit. And you look, this defense has already gotten tremendously better. Now you throw another talented corner on the backside of it, and good luck. That's all. Like,
Yeah.
good luck.
No, I agree, and we've seen teams like if you go look at, I would say, like Cleveland last year, and so how great that defense was. It all started within their defensive front line, and we're seeing the line that the Texans are building. You go get an athletic guy like Max Melton here, and you can develop him a little bit, and potentially something happens to Derek Stingley, something happens to Desmond King, or whoever that other guy is that we're just forgetting on. He is still going to be, I think, set up for success just because of how great this front seven is with Texans here and with that D'Amico Ryans led defense. So I think you go get a guy like him. Once again, it's that best player available, just super athletic. So Texans have been absolutely wild this offseason. And so they're going to be fun to watch. And it's just crazy to think that this AFC just keeps getting better and better and better.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, if you go look at the drafts from this division that we did, and it's like, I don't really see anybody that is like, okay, like, yeah, this team is in a clear rebuilding phase, because the Titans went out, they got a lot better in free agency as well. The Colts were good last year with their backup quarterback playing 80 to 90% of the games, and the Jaguars they just really got decimated with injuries and the injury bug. So like, this division is a complete toss up. I really like what the Texans have going for them, though, but they're definitely not a shoe-in. They need to continue to improve and get better. So let's go ahead and wrap up this mock draft here. If you guys have not already, please go ahead and like and subscribe. Leave a comment down below on what you thought of this Houston Texans 3-round mock draft. Did you love it? Did you hate it? What would you do differently? And on that, we will see you guys next time.